Hello everyone, this is author, motivational speaker, and dating coach Matthew C. Horne, and I bring you a video tonight titled, Men of Value Make Value Propositions with Women. It's brought to you by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, in addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. Get your copies. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to push with the algorithm so I can continue to bring you these elevated messages. It's that simple. Keep pushing me up, man. I enjoy interacting with you all in the comments. If you like and comment, and I'll engage with you. It's that type of channel. But let's get right to it. Men of value make value propositions with women. And to begin, you can't make a value proposition to a woman until you adequately value yourself. And the way that you value yourself is to improve, to acknowledge that there were outcomes that you did not deem favorable with women, and you worked on yourself. There were outcomes that you didn't deem favorable with life, and you worked on yourself. And as you work on yourself, your reality begins to change. Meaning that you're bringing a better version of yourself to life, and the world is responding to you differently in accordance with the man that you've become and becoming, because we're always becoming. And you begin to understand your value. And with women, you begin to understand as you improve that you are a departure from the normal man that she encounters. So now your value with women begins to come into focus because you understand that you are an elevated experience because you're bringing an elevated version of yourself to life and to women. So now your value begins to become fixated in your mind. You understand yourself versus the pool of men that she has to choose from. That's a value proposition right there. That's when it becomes stained and fixated in your mind. You understand what you're bringing to the marketplace. You understand the magnitude of the man that you are. You understand that you're a departure from the man that she's currently engaging with and the men that she currently engages with. So you can bring a value proposition to a woman. And as a masculine, sexually attractive man, you've made a declaration as to the kind of man that you're going to be. Because a cornerstone of you establishing your value is developing an identity, meaning that you understand yourself and you understand the magnitude of the experience that you're giving to women versus the experiences that they're having with the average everyday man that they're currently dealing with. And so your value proposition becomes fixated because you understand yourself, the marketplace, what she has to choose from, and the magnitude of man that you've become. So that's when your value proposition becomes concrete, right then and there. You understand that you are a departure from the normal man that she encounters, the normal man that she deals with. So she's dealing with a collection of women who are not you. But it's not you unless you are the man who's worked on himself, the man who's acknowledged the things that were missing in his life, the experiences that he was not experiencing, and you worked on yourself until you became a match for those experiences. You are now a man of value. And when you become that man of value, now you can make a value proposition to every woman that you meet. And the value proposition is, I'm going to give you a particular experience, and I expect that experience to come back to me. I am going to give you a particular experience, and I expect that experience to come back to me. That's the value proposition, and that's the linear place of balance. A man who has evolved, a man that has become, now you have a linear movement through life, and everything is balanced because you understand yourself and you expect everything to come back to you that is in accordance with your understanding of yourself. That's a value proposition right there. And so a lot of women, you'll meet them they'll understand the guys that they're dealing with are not on the magnitude of the man that you are. You'll present them with a good experience because that's a part of your identity. As a masculine, sexually attractive man, a man who values himself, he's going to give every woman that enters his space a linear experience. He's going to treat every woman the same. If she shows up the right way, if she values you the right way, and you have a strong enough desire for her, and you have a value for her, then you're going to give her a good experience. You're not going to cancel on her. You're not going to flake. You're not going to be inconsistent. You're going to be present. Your word is your word because you're solid. Because you're solid within yourself and you understand yourself. And you understand that any woman that values you the way that you value yourself, you're not going to mess that situation up. So that's the value proposition that you're going to give to every woman that enters your space. And the value proposition is important and it's a fixture because it's a measuring stone. Because you can look at yourself and understand your value and your presence in her life and the experience that you're going to give her. The value proposition is that experience coming back to me? And there's going to be instances where women acknowledge your masculinity. They acknowledge the energy that's coming off of you. And they still, you'll have an encounter. She'll offer herself to you. But then she'll still want to categorize you as the other men that she deals with that she can play with. And at that point, that's when you remove yourself because the value proposition has been broken. She's not giving you an experience that you're giving to her, and she's not giving you an experience that's in accordance with the man that you know you are and the elevated man that you know you are in her life, even on a casual level. Every woman is going to benefit from your presence if you're a man of value. Her life is going to be better regardless of the scope of your interaction. You can be casual, you can be dating, you can be moving towards a relationship, and even further. But her life is better by virtue of her encountering you because you know the men that she deals with on a regular basis, they're not men of value. They're not men that value themselves. They're not men that have decided what they want and measured up to it through the work. So when you step into her space, she can remain there as long as she's congruent with the value proposition that you're giving to her. And that value proposition is that you're going to show up as a consistent, elevated, and consistent fixture in her life. You're a fixture as long as her perception of you aligns with the man that you know that you are. As long as her perception of you and her treatment of you aligns with who you are in her life, how you're treating her, how you're moving. And this is going to be the same for every woman that you engage with as long as she's giving you the experience that aligns with how you see yourself. That is the value proposition right there. And that's why men of value offer women value propositions. She can stay as long as she values you in accordance with how you see yourself. It's really that simple. And I can remember, an example of a woman who approached me when I was out. And my good friend, my homeboy, was standing right beside me. I'm minding my business. Him and I, we're talking, we're chilling. And a woman came out of nowhere, told me how beautiful of a man I was, how she felt masculine energy coming off of me. She said, "Oh, there's something different about you. Oh, I want to remain in your space as long as I can." These are her words verbatim. And she left with me. We came back to my place. We had a great experience. And I guided the experience because I valued myself. I knew that she deserved the experience of being with me. So I guided her. I was just like, it's late, we just met, but we need to keep this conversation going. And when we got back here, she says, "I'm so thankful that I followed your instructions." When a woman values you, she will follow any guidance that you offer to her. So the value proposition was aligned. And of course, we got to it and did what we did. And we had a very enjoyable evening, just that fast. Because when you're a man of value, you are a departure. And that's why women recognize your value, because your value stands above the men that she's currently engaged with. Because there's not many of you, if you value yourself. Don't go telling yourself lies and saying you're a high value man and you haven't decided what kind of man that you're going to be. You haven't elevated into the man that you know you're supposed to be. You can't call yourself a man of value if you haven't done the work and elevated to the level of value that you want to offer to the world. So this is not a message for delusional men. This is a message for men who have valued themselves and they've become. And women move in congruence with what you've become. So this particular woman, everything was good. And, you know, the next day came and she's like, oh, I feel so invigorated and I feel so alive having been with you last night. And I said, okay, well, let's do it again. And we confirmed 2 times that day that we were going to meet. And then minutes before we were supposed to meet, she just says, you know what, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and I'll see you another time. And immediately, I was just like, that is not in accordance with the value proposition that I gave to you. That is not in accordance with the value proposition that you acknowledge that I am to you. And I immediately told her, I said, let's just call it one good night. I said, I don't move that way. What I meant by I don't move that way is I don't move with women who don't value me the way that I've showed up in their life, and the understanding that she innately has that I'm a more elevated man than what she normally encounters. So she countered my value proposition. She countered the elevated experience that she knew that she had with me. And what did I instinctively do? I dropped her ass off. And that same friend was like, oh, but she gave you the poothie, and, you know, you dropped her off too soon. You're cutting off your hand. And I told him point blank, poignantly, she did not see me in accordance with how I saw myself. She cut her hand off. I didn't cut my hand off. She robbed herself of the experience with an elevated man that made a very exact and elevated value proposition to her that she acknowledged. And I told him, I said, she knows the pool of men that she's dealing with. She knows the pool of men that she has to choose from. She knew I was a departure from what she normally encounters. I said, that was on her. That was a power play. That was an attempt for her to put me under her subjection. That was an attempt for her to put me under her power. For her to disrespect me that way and cancel when she agreed, even though we already had a physical encounter. I said she wanted to put me under her control. And my friend could not fathom it because he doesn't have an identity. He doesn't understand the magnitude of the value proposition that he could potentially bring to women, but he can't bring it to women because he hasn't acknowledged and accepted himself. So he didn't understand my movements, and it wasn't for him to understand. But that's what happens when you're a man of value and you're making value proposition. You're always measuring imbalance. Because as a man of value, you understand if women and things are not in your space in accordance with how you're showing up to those things, then your world is going to be out of balance. A value proposition, understanding yourself and expecting everything to come back to you in accordance with who you are and how you're showing up to the world, that creates balance. A man who makes a value proposition to women is a man that is perpetually in a state of balance. If you're in a state of balance, it's because you're not allowing anything to enter and remain in your space that's not giving you the exact experience that you're giving to it. If you keep imbalanced situations in your life, then that's when the chaos and the unpredictability enters your space, and now your world is disrupted. And that's what my friend couldn't understand. How peaceful and calm my life is, because I understand the value proposition that I am to myself and that I'm making to women, the experience that I'm giving to women, the departure that I am to these women. And you have to become the man that you understand the level of value that you're giving to women. And when you understand the level of value that you're giving to women, you can make value propositions, meaning that your ass is not going to stay here unless you move in accordance with the value that I'm offering to you. That's a value proposition right there. Every woman is the same. I don't care if some are more beautiful than others. When you're completely fixated in yourself and you have an identity, you've decided what kind of man you're going to be, you've improved, and you understand the magnitude of the experience that you're giving to women. You are fixated in the value proposition, and you're fixated in the understanding of the value proposition that you're giving to every woman. So now you can monitor balance. And a lot of men don't understand how I let women go and how I drop them off after we've had a sexual encounter, because I don't give a fuck about the sex. That's going to come because I've worked on myself, and there's an aura that surrounds me. And you, as a sexy, attractive, masculine man, when you work on yourself, you're a departure. And when you're a departure, you have an aura. So that's going to be steady. But the thing that is on you, it are the women that you allow to remain in your space. And that comes with the value that you have for yourself and the value propositions that you make to women. It's really that simple. And it's not for men to understand. Your movements and the movements of the average man are not congruent. You all are moving at completely different frequencies. You're vibrating on different frequencies. So as a man who can make a value proposition, you are a misunderstood man, because most men don't understand themselves. They don't understand how much they have to offer. I was having a conversation tonight with a woman, and we were talking about Kevin Samuels, and she was separating herself from the women who danced on Kevin Samuels' grave after he passed away. And I told her, I said, they danced on his grave because that, to them, since he's gone, they can manipulate men again. Because the greatest offering that Kevin Samuels gave to us as men is for us to understand our value. And I was explaining to her that the same men that these women want are the same men who have an understanding of their value. So they danced on Kevin Samuels' grave because they like, oh, we can go back to manipulating men and treat them like shit. But I explained to her, every woman that danced on his grave, the men of value were watching that. And so they danced on his grave thinking that they were going to have different outcomes because the voice that allowed men to value themselves was gone, but they didn't realize the impact that the Godfather had on their life. And so the women set themselves back by dancing on Kevin Samuels' grave, and the quality, high-value men were watching that, meaning that they would never engage with a woman like that. While Kevin Samuels gave them the tools, gave the women the tools to engage with men on that magnitude. The conversation got deep, and she understood where I was coming from. Because that's what he gave us, was an opportunity to understand our value. He exposed the men that they deal with on a regular basis versus the men that they proclaim they deal with on a regular basis. He exposed them. And consequently, through that, men understood their value. Because he also got on men to improve themselves and become a match for what they want. So the value propositions were mismatched. There were a collection of men valuing themselves versus the women who wanted to control and manipulate these guys and not elevate to the level of their value. So the women were feeling the absence of quality men while Kevin Samuels was on that microphone, because these men began to value themselves. And they thought that they could escape the reality of men valuing themselves after he passed away, not understanding the permanent impact that he had on men in terms of them valuing themselves and the value propositions that they were going to make to women as a whole. And so that was a very important conversation that I had with that young lady tonight. And I'm having that conversation with you. Don't settle for less than what you've become. Once you become a man of value, you are uncomfortable in the space of women who do not value you. And if you're comfortable in the space of women who are not valuing you the way that you value them, you have work to do. But once you become a valuable man and you understand the proposition that you represent, that you're offering to these women, now your world is balanced, because you can never settle for anything less coming back to you versus what you're giving. And so men of value make value propositions to women. It's really that simple. And never underestimate your value, because you have to take a totalitarian look at her world. Look at the men she's had children with. A lot of these women have children with men that they hide. If a woman, even if the man doesn't stick around, a lot of women will show a very attractive, valuable man off that she was able to reproduce with him. But a lot of these quote unquote single mothers who pervade our community, there's more of them than not, they hide in their baby fathers. Why is that? Because they reproduce with men that are not of value. They're trying to hide them. Why are they trying to hide them? Because they want to make themselves appealing to men of value. And the only way that they can make themselves appealing to men of value is to become a value proposition on her own. She has to be a recognizable fixture of the man who values himself, so that when he makes the value proposition, she's recognizable to him. She knows how to remain in his space. And that's the proposition I'm making to you. You only deal with women who know how to remain in your space. Like I said, my friend questioned me because I dropped a woman off after we had sex. Who gives a fuck? My value and my love for myself is greater than some disrespectful boothie. And you can't make a value proposition to a woman until the sensation of self-respect, the sensation of self-love, and the sensation of you understanding your value is greater than any disrespectful poothie that's going to enter your space and attempt to stay. Your value has to be your pervading metric in terms of how you assess women that are trying to stay in your space. And if you have an adequate value of yourself, you're only going to deal with women who value you the way that you value yourself. This thing is balance. How do you think 80% of men end up on the wrong side of divorce? 80% of women initiate divorces because they married men who didn't value themselves. And since the man never made a value proposition, the woman understood he didn't value himself, so she didn't have to make a value proposition. She showed up as whatever the hell she wanted to be. And that man ate that shit. And he paid a penalty. And you don't have to be that man. You can become a man of value. And then you know you're the man of value when any woman cannot just enter and remain in your space, because you've made a proposition by your existence. And when you make that level of declaration of the kind of man that you are and that you've become, then you can confidently and boldly make a value proposition to any woman that you engage with. And you only engage with on a continual basis with women who value you the way that you value yourself. That's the cornerstone of the value proposition. It's that simple, man. I hope I explained it good enough. That's all I can say, man. This has been Matthew C. Horne, author, motivational speaker, and dating coach. Just bringing you a video tonight, just talking about how men of value, they make value propositions to women. They're enough. It's brought to you by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life. In addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. Get your copies. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to push me with the algorithm so I can continue to bring you these elevated messages. And to everyone who wants me to make a custom video on your proposed topic, I see you in the comments, wanting me to talk about different things and make videos. You make your donation of $50 or more to my PayPal or my Cash App that's in my video description. Leave the subject that you want me to talk about, your video, in the donation information on PayPal or Cash App. And I will put your video on my channel, Matthew C. Horne Dating, in 24 hours or less. I'll make your custom video. If your video is more in depth than just leaving a note, then you make a donation of $50 or more, and then you email me at matt@matthewchorne.com with your more in-depth description of what you want me to make your video on. And your video will be on my channel, Matthew C. Horne Dating, in 24 hours or less. And if my message has been of value to you and your thought processes have been elevated as a result of encountering my message, then drop something in my donation information that's in my video description, my PayPal or my Cash App. I'll never tell you what to donate. However you've been impacted, donate accordingly. And that's all I ever ask. If you're in need of coaching, if my voice resonates with you, if you understand that I'm the catalyst to help you to get the outcomes in the dating game that have eluded you, and outcomes that you want to have that you have not been able to experience, I am your dating coach. Email me at matt@matthewchorne.com. Leave coaching in the subject matter. Leave your name, your phone number, and whatever issue that you're facing in the dating space. I will read your email, do an assessment, and I'll get right back to you promptly with the terms of the coaching. And once you accept the terms of the coaching, then we'll set the date and time, and then coaching will begin immediately. Everything's streamlined. Everything's very simple. My world is peaceful. My world is simple. I want to bring you in my world. And also, my dating community in the school community is growing every day. I do have a particular space outside of YouTube. I've created Matthew C. Horne Dating Community, Dating Coaching Community. The link to sign up for that community will be in the video description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat in the comments. In this particular community, you're going to get 2 exclusive videos every week, more personalized, more in depth than what I'm giving on YouTube. And in addition to that, we're going to have weekly Zoom calls. These Zoom calls have been amazing. We all get on video. You get the link. We chime in every Monday, and I have a monologue. I talk about a particular topic exclusive to the group, and then you can ask me whatever you want to ask me for an hour. It's an amazing space, and you have exclusive access to me for an hour. This is what I'm offering in my school community. So sign up for Matthew C. Horne Dating Community. The link will be in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the comments. And lastly, I'm still looking for 5 individuals. Slots are filling up. I still have some slots available. 5 individuals who want a year-long worth of coaching with me. I'm going to assess exactly where you are and where you want to go, and that's where I'm going to premise the coaching off of. It's going to be very personalized. You give me a year of your life, and your life will never be the same. It's not just going to be dating coaching. It's going to be multiple dating coaching calls throughout the week for every participant. And also, we're going to meet in person, go out in the field, talk to women. I'll see you in person. This is an amazing level of access to my level of knowledge and expertise right here. That's why I can only take on 5 individuals, because I'm that committed to these 5 individuals. And if this is something that you believe can be of benefit to you, then go ahead and email me at matt@matthewchorne.com, because it's going to be life coaching in addition to dating coaching. It's going to be a transformational experience. So email me with mentorship in the subject line, and just leave your name, your phone number, and I'll get right back to you. And we can dialogue, and we can assess if we're a good match to work together for the duration of a year. And I promise you, give me a year of your life, it'll never be the same. But that's all I have to say. This has been Matthew C. Horne, author, motivational speaker, and dating coach. I have a lot to offer you. And in this particular video, understand that masculine quality men of quality, they make rules of engagement. They make value propositions. It's really that simple. When you understand yourself, you understand everything that you need to propose, and then you understand that everything that needs to come back to you. It doesn't matter if you've engaged with a woman in a physical or sexual manner. The only way that she can remain in your space is if she is moving in congruence with the value proposition that you're giving to her. That's how your world stays balanced. And there's always another woman when you're the quality, sexually attractive man. So you can never be afraid to let a woman go who's not moving in accordance with the value proposition that you're offering to her. I'll see you all soon.